Hi, parents. My name is Audrey Monke, and I'm really excited to be with you for this Parents Who Know Summit. Regardless of when you're listening to this, I just want to let you know two things. One is, you know what? You're doing a terrific job as a parent. Anyone who takes the time to get some resources, watch videos, read books, just to try to improve your parenting, I know that you're already doing a great job. So, good job with that. Secondly, I want you to take a deep breath. This is hard, and you're doing a good job, and we can all get through it, but we need to give ourselves some grace and take a deep breath once in a while. So let's all take a deep breath together. See, I feel better already. Again, my name is Audrey Monke, and I'm coming to you actually from my place of work, which is at a summer camp. I have been a summer camp owner and director for 35 years, and I've had the privilege of working with thousands of campers, young adult counselors, and parents over the years. As a result of what I've learned at camp and the research I've done for my degree in psychology, I started a website and a podcast. Both are called Sunshine Parenting. You can find out more about them at sunshine-parenting.com. And in both of those places, I share resources, activities, and ideas to help parents and anyone else who works with young people just create happier, more connected cultures at home, in the classroom, on the sports field, everywhere. So, a couple of messages that I want to share with you and some ideas that I think can help you just feel better this year and have more fun and connection at home. In my book, which is called Happy Campers 9 Summer Camp Secrets for Raising Kids Who Become Thriving Adults, I share 9 secrets that I've learned over my years at summer camp. And the very first one is that connection comes first. So, regardless of where we are, whether we're a teacher in a classroom or a parent at home, we need to prioritize our relationship and our connection with our kids more than anything else. So, a couple of things that are my favorite ways to promote connection and things that I'd like you to learn from my little talk with you today are just some ideas that we do here at camp that I think you can bring home just as easily, and many parents have already. I know that I have. I have 5 kids. They're currently getting pretty old. They're 16 to 26 years old. So, all of these ideas that I've learned and researched at summer camp, I've also used at home with my own kids. So, I've tested them out, and I think they can work for you too. The very first tip I want to give you is the importance of having some kind of daily sharing as a family. And if you haven't been in the habit of doing this, it might feel awkward to start, but I guarantee it will draw you closer together to have a time each day when your whole family is together and sharing about something. You can pick what the topic is and you can alter it from day to day or week to week, or I would recommend picking one sharing topic and sticking with that for at least a month so that everyone gets in the habit. In my own family, we've stuck with the same one for years. We almost always share our high of the day and our low of the day. This is a great way to just get a pulse on how everyone's feeling, and often the sharing leads to longer conversations and stories and often some laughs. It's a really, really fun way to connect. We usually do it around the dinner table, which having dinner together is such a great idea and such a great way to have family sharing. But I know some families do it over breakfast or right before bedtime. It really doesn't matter what time of day you do the sharing, as long as you're consistent and that everyone in the family knows, even people who tend to be quieter and not get as much time talking, get a chance to share. So I encourage you to try that, the daily sharing. The second tip that I want to share with you is something that probably you're already doing, but I just want to remind you how important it is. And that is to make sure that as these days go on with your kids, and regardless of how old they are, that every day, for at least a couple minutes, you give your child your full attention, even if it's just for 1 or 2 minutes. I know that sounds kind of crazy because usually we spend a lot of time with our kids and we're talking to them and reminding them about things and interacting with them for a lot more than 2 minutes. But sometimes in our lives, we can be so distracted by our work, by our worries, by other things that we're really not giving our kids our full attention when they're talking or sharing something. So I encourage you to try this. For our counselors, we actually put it as part of their job description to do a one-on-one check-in with each of their campers every day. And we just give them some hints that they can just give a general check-in, ask them a few questions. Open-ended questions are best, and just really listen and listen for underlying things as well, because we all know that sometimes what our kids say on the outside is maybe a little different from the nonverbals they're showing us. So, if we just take the time to really pay attention to our kids and see just how their body language is, how they're feeling, it can really go a long way in building our connection with them. And when we start with them when they're young, that connection will last their whole lives. I know for my kids that because we always had our kind of bedtime chats and tuck in time, my kids got used to just checking in with me and talking to me every day. So it was a habit that continued throughout their teenage years. And now, with most of them being young adults, we may not do the check-ins every single day, but we have phone calls and texts and time to connect, and it's really was built upon those early years and that full attention that they got every day in our one-on-one check-ins. I have another really simple and really uplifting strategy to share with you that's super easy. And all you need is a sticky note and a pen. In each chapter of my book, I actually have something called a sticky note solution. And it's a way to just use a sticky note and a pen to move the needle in some area of your family, culture, happiness, or connection. So, this is one that is just so important. I think all of us, we're walking through life and we just want to know that we're okay just the way we are. We want to be accepted, we want to feel like we belong, and we want to feel connected. So, a really amazing thing that you can do for your kids is to point out something that you really appreciate about their personality, their inner character, something inside them. So sometimes it's hard to say these things out loud if you're not used to it. But if you write a little note on a sticky note or any kind of note and leave it on your child's pillow or on their bathroom mirror, and you just tell them something that you really appreciate about them, especially if you can have a specific story. So, for example, I have a daughter who has just an amazing high energy. She's kind of life of the party. She'll always like start dance parties in our kitchen and just really ups the spirit of our house. So, a sticky note I could leave for her is thank you so much for turning on the music and having us all dance last night. It really makes our home happier having you in it. If your child has a great sense of humor, you could let them know how much you appreciate that they help you laugh, about silly stories that they tell or funny faces that they make. If you have an introspective child who's very thoughtful and sensitive, you could write them a note saying how much you appreciate that they notice when you need a little help or are feeling a little down, and how much you appreciate that quality about them. When you start taking the time to write a note every once in a while, letting your child know those things that you really notice and find special about them, it's going to really help them start seeing more of those positive things in themselves. It also really builds your relationship with them because, as science has told us, especially John Gottman's research, the more positive things, positive things we say to another person, the more positive interactions we have each day as compared to negative interactions or criticisms or complaints, the more positive our relationship is. So it can get really easy with the people we live with to get stuck in a cycle of having kind of more negative interactions, more kind of nagging interactions. I know I felt that way, especially when my sons were younger. I felt like I was just nagging at them and reminding them constantly about, things they were forgetting or things they needed to do or that they needed to do their laundry or take a shower and on and on and on. So in between all those reminders, if we take a little time to point out something positive, it can go a really long way. You can do this verbally, of course, as well, and that's very powerful. But I would also recommend writing it down because those are notes that your child may keep forever. And they may never forget that quality that you saw in them and found special in them. And I think that's a really, really great way to stay connected with your child. The final encouragement that I'd like to share with you is just the importance of realizing that you don't have to do more to be a great parent. And in fact, in many cases, doing less is going to make you a better parent. I've written and shared a lot about this because I've seen kids firsthand really show how responsible and self reliant they can be when they're away from their parents at camp. It's amazing what kids can do when given the opportunity. So, if you're feeling overwhelmed by your responsibilities as a parent, which many people are right now, with the pressures that we have with work and with different school situations happening with our kids, there's just a lot going on, a lot of pressure on parents. So, to take some of the pressure off, why don't you think of something you can do less of? Perhaps it can be that you do less helping with homework and schoolwork with your kids, and you empower them to figure out how to do more things on their own or access available help that's online. It could be that you do fewer of the household chores and you teach your kids to start taking on more of those responsibilities so that you get that much needed time to regroup and refresh and be present for your kids and be able to have fun as you do your daily family sharing and have a good connection with them as you do your one on one check in. Parenting can get pretty overwhelming when you start adding more things to your list. So, I don't want you to leave this little talk feeling like you have to add a whole bunch of things. What I would love for you to do is just to think of maybe one strategy that resonated with you. Perhaps it's the daily family sharing. Perhaps it's just really making sure you're giving each of your children your full attention for a couple minutes. Or maybe it's just writing a positive note to your child today. I hope you'll take some kind of action, and I really think that you'll find that if you're consistent with these kind of actions, you really are going to feel closer and more connected, and you'll have a more positive family culture. Thanks so much for listening. Hope to connect with you somewhere else. You can find me online at sunshine-parenting.com, or you can search for my podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. It's called Sunshine Parenting. Take care.